A very good evening and welcome to the Flipside webinar series, a panel discussion on sharing lessons from books we have read. My name is Devammi. I'm a member of the Pick a Book Marvels Team Club, and I am also the moderator this evening. Before I introduce our wonderful panelists for today, let me first tell you a little bit about Pick a Book. Pick a Book is a global movement for readers. They say the best way to learn is to teach somebody. We encourage the reading habit by getting all participants to select a book, read and research on it thoroughly, and present a summary which also helps to hone his or her public speaking, communication, and presentation skills. By doing this, Pick a Book not only inculcates the habit of reading, but also helps to impart the wealth of knowledge. Without further ado, let me introduce you all to our amazing panelists for today. We have quite an interesting session lined up for you. So our first panelist is Sharifah Nazim. She is 14 years old, member of the Marvels Teen Club. She loves exploring new things and to read. Hi Sharifah, warm welcomes to you and hope you're doing wonderful this evening.
Hi Devanmi, it's a pleasure to be here.
Okay, looking forward to it. So our next panelist for today is Safia Jeffrey. She is 14 years old. She's a member of the Marvels Teen Club and she loves reading and writing fantasies. Welcome to the Flipside, Safia, and hope you're doing well too.
Hi, welcome. Hi, thank you.
Okay, so let's get on with the questions. My first question is to Safia. How about we start with the main character? Tell us about Sarah Crew and why is she so special?
Yeah, sure. So, Sarah Crew is a 7-year-old intimidating young girl. And this whole story of the book, it revolves around her. And the thing is, what makes her special is not that she was rich, but she was rich and polite. She was rich and humble, and she was not one bit spoiled, which is not a characteristic we can see in rich people nowadays, especially the adults. And this young girl, she had a quick imagination, which is unbelievable because normally for a 7-year-old, not many of the children have imagination skills. But Sarah Crew is a really, really unique character because of that.
Well, she sounds like a very interesting character, hoping to, learn more about her. So let's move on to one of Shafia's questions. Since we are on the topic of main characters, what differentiates Adam from the others of his age?
So Adam is a normal teenager, just like us. He's about like 14 years old. But what makes him special is probably his bravery and how smart he is. Despite not having his father around and getting caught into this whole unknown situation, something none of us would have even thought of going through, he takes it down step by step by understanding his father's clues and by working very smartly instead of getting caught to the police or leaving helpless clues for the police to catch up on him. And he also deals with the dinosaur really calmly and humbly, and it is a really nice thing to see a teenager in that way. And the way how he copes with the whole thing is something that really makes him stand out.
Okay, so both main characters for today sound very interesting. So my second question for Safia. What was the tragical incident that twisted and turned Sarah's life upside down?
Yeah, well, for a 7-year-old girl, what happened to Sarah was really tragical because she goes to this school far away from her father because her mother already died when she gave birth to her. So when she was in that school, she had to be away from her father, who she dearly loved and missed a lot. And she is really rich, so she was the popular show student of the school. Then something tragical happened. Her father died, and he took with him all the fortune, all the money, everything to exploring a diamond mine with his friend. Now the thing is, the diamond mine didn't exist, so everything was a scam and all his fortune was lost. There was no one to look after Sarah. She had no relations, no cousins, no one. So because of that, she had to go from the school's show student to a charity pupil. I mean, she doesn't even study. She's a servant now. And like, can you imagine that? You get all the riches and the favoration, affection, everything, and then suddenly, well, bam, you're a servant, and you get ordered around and burnt, and it's really tragical.
Sounds like a tragic backstory indeed. I can imagine going through something like that. So, my next question to Sharifah. Despite the fact that T-Rex is a dinosaur, why is he special?
So yeah, he's a dinosaur. That is special enough, and that's enough to make us have our minds blown. But then DX is a new generation dinosaur, and he's an experiment from the Genflow Solutions, which is a kind of a company throughout the book. And he was made by Adam's father, Mr. Bill Adler, and Adam's father is a person who creates, let's just say, video games, and he just created the most realistic video game, and he was like taken away, and this Xerex was made using that game codes. So basically he has Adam's brainwaves, because this video game was made using Adam's brainwaves, so only Adam could play it properly, and it wasn't fully finished as well. So this dinosaur is literally a teenager stuck in a dinosaur's body. He's got the thoughts of of Adam, and he has his memories as well. So he is affectionate towards the father as well as just like Adam is. So Adam doesn't have his mother, so you can say he's really, really close to his father. And the thing about the Z-Rex and why he's so special is, you remember I said he's a next generation dinosaur? Well, this dinosaur can talk. He can talk, he can think, he's got emotion. He's like a human stuck inside a dinosaur, typically. And he's even worse, he's a teenage human stuck inside a dinosaur. So he doesn't know his way around life still, but then he's here in a new surrounding with people hunting him down. It's chaos. But that's what makes ZX special, despite being a dinosaur.
So that's a very chaotic dinosaur, if you ask me. So, my next question is for Safia. How did the little girl cope with the tragedy?
Simple. She tried to remain a little princess within. Now, when we say little princess, we think of spoiled and riches, but to Sarah Crew, a little princess is someone who is always polite, who is kind, who can cope up with anything that comes across her way. And so, even when Miss Minchin, who is the principal, a very, let's say, bad character in my opinion, when she used to, I don't know, burn her and traumatize her, she tried her best to remain calm and, just overcome the situation. And for a 7-8-year-old, that's very, very rare and unique.
Yeah, I completely agree with being a 7-year-old and going through all of that. So, she's a very special character.
So also, she had a quick imagination. I forgot to mention that. Imagination, it's like it revolves around her, and because of that, she can like overcome anything with the set of her mind.
Imagination always helps us to, cope with something. And, I really like the idea of this 7-year-old imagining herself out of this kind of stuff that's tragic and happening to her. It's a really wonderful main character. So Sharifah's next question is, why was T-Rex created?
All right, so he's a dinosaur. You don't need anything more. Why was he created is our biggest question. So first of all, T-Rex is the anagram for the word Zenithsaurus rex. So Zenith normally means the highest peak, highest among the rest. Okay, so he's intelligent, he speaks and everything. So why was he made is our first question. So there's this, in every book there's this psychopathic villain. Yeah, so we have one here as well, Mr. Hayden, and he thinks that bringing dinosaurs back to life is going to be change the world. So he like changing the world was like his emblem of the Genflow solution. So like bringing fossil matter back to life, and using these post evolving cells, all the science stuff, and brings back this dinosaur. And the simplest way to say why ZX was created was probably through Bill Adler's words. Hayden just wants to play God. That's all. Like every man who is greedy for power, he wants to play God. He creates this creature, and now he's stuck with it because he wanted a grown dinosaur, fully understanding one, but instead he got a one which is trapped, like a teenage boy trapped in a dinosaur, which is not what he wanted. So the dinosaur's got bad moods and stuff. He can't cooperate with that. He's not at all patient, and he doesn't understand it like Bill Adler does, because Bill Adler is a father, so he understands the situation. So he doesn't like Hayden trying to kill the Z-Rex. So he stops it, and now Hayden is stuck with this creature. And his step to changing the world actually brought him faith. So simply don't go after power. It never works out.
The superiority complex never works out, right? So the next question is for Safia. Why was Miss Minchin always mean and angry to Sarah?
Yeah, so Miss Minchin, like this character particularly, it frustrated me because, as I said, Miss Minchin was the principal of the seminary or the school, and she always seemed to have a grudge over Sarah. I mean, can you imagine it? Like a 40 to 50-year-old woman having a grudge over a 7-year-old girl? And the thing is, Miss Minchin is always old school and she doesn't have a quick witted imagination. And like I said, she's the principal, so she has the authority to do anything. But sometimes anything also has a limit, right? Yeah, and it's pathetic because she does things horribly unimaginable, horrible things that you should never do to a small child. Yeah,
She sounds like a very frustrating character indeed. So next is Sharifah's question. What differs T-Rex from Y-Rex?
Okay, first let me give you a small introduction on what the Y-Rex is. So, in my before question, I explained to you that Zirek was a fail in Hayden's eyes because there was a teenage boy's characteristic stuck in a dinosaur, which is not what he needed. He needed a killing machine simply. So he cloned out another dinosaur through Zirex and named him the Y-Rex. So the difference is the Y-Rex, he does not have feelings. He can't think, he doesn't have feelings, he can't speak. He's just controlled by a bunch of computer installments. Okay, so if the computer says him to kill someone, he kills someone. He doesn't think about it. He doesn't think maybe this person is in pain. No. But the Xerix on the other side, he has a freedom of thought. And he is stuck in a very special, like he's got the thoughts of a very special and unique character, Adam. So which also makes him differently standard. So Adam is someone really caring. So the Xerix wouldn't do something the Virex would do. The Virex is just reckless. He's just reckless. There's nothing else to explain him. He's reckless. He doesn't even give a second thought. But the Xerix, on the other hand, if Hayden actually took his time to understand and maybe evolve the Xerix, I think he could have got the outcome he wanted in a better way and not in a more chaotic way. So that's what makes the biggest difference. The ZX feels and the Virex doesn't feel. The Virex is basically like a video game character. You control him, he does what you want. But the ZX has the time to think about it and, feel it through.
So the C-Rex has more, emotional value, I suppose. And, I feel like I prefer him over Y-Rex now. So last question for Safia. Who was the curious Indian gentleman and how does he change the girl's life?
Yeah, so as I said, while Sarah lived in that horrible school as a servant, a new neighbor moves into the neighborhood. And this neighbor is an Indian gentleman who is very fond of the little girl. He sometimes gives her food when she's starving, and he stands up for her in many ways. So one fine afternoon, Sarah Crew goes to his house for a little chit chat, and then they happen to talk about her father's tragical death. Suddenly, in the middle of the conversation, the Indian gentleman springs to his feet and then he's so excited. So Sarah was very confused on why this sudden excitement, and the actual factor is when Sarah Crew's father died, he had been working with a friend on the diamond mines that supposedly took his life, right? So this is his friend. Like suddenly he springs out of nowhere into Sarah's life. And now the thing is, those diamond mines actually exist. And now Sarah True, who was a servant, who is poorer to any human in the world, is now richer than the most princesses existing. You should have seen Miss Minchin's face when she got to know this. I mean, I didn't see it either, I just imagined it. It was so hilarious.
Sarah Cruz finally got the happy ending she deserved, and I'm like so happy for her, even though I have never read the book. So your story was very interesting, Safia. And now for Sharifah's last question, what differentiates this book from other dinosaur-based adaptations?
So we've probably had a lot of dinosaur-based adaptations throughout. I don't want to talk out names, but let's be honest. Jurassic Park, it's out there, right? So this is something different because normally when we get dinosaur adaptations, we always get it on an adult's point of view. And in my point of view, I think having this book based on a teenager who's our age point of view is just really nice. We get to see how he copes through stuff. So it kind of gives us a feeling maybe we could, survive this dino apocalypse someday. Can't say, So we're not always the ones who get eaten at the end. We could survive it at some point. So for teenagers, I'd say this is one of like the best dino adaptations. Like instead of the adult point of view, finally we're getting a chance to show that we could fight this zombie. Like now let me be honest with you, okay? When you take zombie apocalypse, even it's always the 17 and 18-year-olds. Where are we? You know? So this book is such a it's like a stand for us. So I think that's why it really shines out to me, this book, despite the other dino adaptations. But let's be honest, all of the dino adaptations are really good. But this dinosaur adaptation is special because not only is he a teenager, the dinosaur itself has got its own teenage mind. And it's just really nice to see them both cope. And you have friends and you get all your problems with your friends. They say it happens through this stage. So there is something like that throughout this book as well, between the dinosaur and the boy, which is really nice for us you can relate a lot throughout this book. I think that's what actually stands out. And yeah, so in those points, I think for us, this dinosaur adaptation would be like the best. In my point of view, I just love it despite the rest.
Interesting. I mean, coming from another 14, 15-year-old as myself, the protagonist being a 14-year-old with a dinosaur who's stuck in a teenage, with a teenage mind, it's kind of interesting to see. Like, you don't see this plot often. And like this book, like it really brought it out. So thank you, Sharifah, for sharing this with us, because like I had a lot of fun, both of you. I had a lot of fun today. And so with that, we have come to the end of our session. So thank you to our wonderful panelists today, Sharifah and Safia, for sharing interesting insights from two interesting books. I would also like to thank our audience for their support and positive feedback on today's website session. If you'd like to know more about Pick a Book, please visit www.pickabook.club or contact us on 077 55 48283. Thank you everyone for joining in. Hope you have a wonderful week ahead, and bye.
See you. Bye.
See you, bye.